that can create cortisol.
Yeah.
That potentially can lower your immune system. And so many of us, if we, probably a good thing that everybody doesn't have a salivary cortisol testing kit, because we'd be getting a lot of positives there. So what we are doing is we're offering these webinars to be able to do some tapping, to tap on the thematicness of different things that are happening given COVID, because it's every day it's changing. So
before we get into like the how and the why and all of that kind of stuff,
what do you want to say?
I want to ask you to kind of reiterate what you posted on Facebook the other day about legal issues, because I've already seen and people have already sent me like things that people are saying, EFT, it's secure for COVID. You're going to get yourself in at the most, you're going to get in legal trouble. At the least, you're going to get cut off. You're going to have Facebook and organizations like that shutting you down, because that's not a true statement. Okay.
Yeah. So in other words, I sent out something from the Michael Cohen law group that was saying the FTC, the FDA right now are on very, very high alert.
Right.
Because obviously there's a lot of people trying to take advantage of the fear.
Yeah.
And they are pushing everything from supplements to things that aren't working for sanitizing, et cetera, and for treating. Right. So clearly we are not treating the infection of the COVID virus.
Right.
Right. So what we are doing is we're working with people that are having a lot of heightened emotions and anxiousness and fears that are going on to be able to lower that stress level, to raise their resilience, to be able to be in a better state so that their body can have a heightened chance of immune strength and emotional and physical resiliency and all of that. That's what we're working with here. So I just want to be clear on that. Okay. So that said,
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you for that
You're
public
welcome.
service announcement.
There you go. Okay. Yes. What did you want to do next then?
I want you to talk. I'm just giving myself notes because I had in mind, like for the last couple days, what I wanted to talk about, but I wasn't able to have a moment.
So I'll go over some things.
Go ahead with these things.
So what's happening? You know, what's happening around the world and on a daily, hourly level is sympathetic, stimulating information that's raising levels of collective fear around the world. Now, what I am not addressing is the appropriateness of the delivery of correct and accurate information and how to best take care of yourselves. That's just facts. That's just information. It's our response to that based on a number of things that's causing us to move as a society into a dysregulated state. Part of that is our previous history, right? Have we had experiences that had to deal with emergency situations and unknowns and feeling isolated? And we know that everybody that's involved or knows anything about EFT knows that if, you know, there's been a kindling, there's been previous experience of this, it's being heightened by what's happening. But on top of that, we are also engaging in behaviors that are causing our stress levels to be elevated. We are moving into sympathetic heightened states on a prolonged level by watching every single news report, by checking it on social media and the news and the newspaper and the conversations. Many people, because they're being preoccupied with that, are losing their self-care habits of healthy eating, diet, exercise, sleep, routines that they often use to keep them well because they're so preoccupied with their attention that's heightening their sympathetic system. And so what we need to focus on, like I posted on Facebook today, is what are you doing to resource yourself? You need to not only do regular resourcing, but amped up resourcing. Spending more time with a loved one at home, or your puppy as we're doing here, or even with my family members on FaceTime and connecting and reaching out to neighbors and family and friends more, because there is a social distancing and that's hard on us. We're human beings that are born to connect. Are you increasing your listening to music, to getting outside in the garden and nature, if weather allows, or even if it doesn't, get out there anyway? Are you increasing things like breathing exercises or meditation exercises or reading or crafting? What kinds of things are you doing that make you feel good? We really need to be putting more attention on that as well.
Okay, I'm ready to talk.
Are you? Okay, then I'll hand it back to you because you got some notes there.
Okay, so it's the closest thing that I can think of in my life that's like reminiscent of this is I lived through Hurricane Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
And my whole entire family was affected where they lost their homes. The business was shut down. I was a bookkeeper back then for my family business, and we really had to shut everything.
Right.
And the other time is living in Washington, D.C. during 9/11 and having like no school, no meetings, everything was shut down, and hearing military planes was the only thing that we could hear. So what I will tell you, out of that time came amazing gifts from me personally, and came amazing transformation in the community. Difficult decisions were made, but now I look back and I say, okay, during Hurricane Andrew, what really helped me was helping other people, helping everyone else in my family who couldn't get water, and I was able to drive, and helping them to feel better as best I could. I was able to shift my focus away from what was happening with me to shifting it to helping others. During 9/11, what really helped me was, and that situation, when I look back on it, kind of led the path for me making all kinds of decisions about my life. The clearest example was 9/11, going through that and shifting my focus away from what was happening with me, and of course taking care of myself, but shifting the focus over to how I was modeling calm, cool presence with my kids who were very young at that age. And then I look back at what was the result of that time period, and I know that it led me to making decisions about where I wanted to live, and now setting up this beautiful life. Right after that, we decided to get out of DC and move to Whidbey Island.
So is what you're saying that despite the intensity and the chaos of what people are feeling, out of that can come clarity for life choices.
Absolutely.
That further down the line will be like, wow, that really served me to make some really important changes that I needed to make in my life. So there is that.
There was a study that was done after the economic crisis that we had in the financial markets in 2008 that showed that many people were dissatisfied in different areas of their lives and made decisions to, okay, it doesn't serve me to be in that toxic relationship. It doesn't serve me to do work that I am not passionate about. And actually, that was for me the catalyst when I came this close to declaring bankruptcy, lost my house, all of those things, was I shifted my focus to make my EFT practice into a booming success. And I did that during that recession. So, okay. I
got it. Just in general.
All right. So I want to tell you that you can find gifts in this, but in the fear mode, you can't.
Right.
And what we see in our local community has just been beautiful. So, for example, there was a church that found out that one of the parishioners had COVID. They immediately stopped having services. They went online with their services. They started a phone tree so that by neighborhood, and so everyone is communicating and calling people, especially that were in like the elderly, parents at home with their kids, checking in daily for that. There's another church that we heard of that set up with the local grocery store that they would have, they would call in their order for up to 12 items. Somebody would be in the parking lot and they'd have an account which the church funded, and it's all kind of honor system for people that need it. So there are people delivering, there are people in the stores helping, and if people can't afford it, the church is picking up the tab for that. So those are beautiful things that we see happening here that just inspire us, and know that we don't have to go to the basest fear survival mode, which has people loading up on ammo and buying guns and stockpiling TP.
Except people are, right?
Yes.
So in other words, here's what I want to say. From a place, if you're in a place that is more regulated, that is not being continually fed and activated with the old part of the brain, the survival part of the brain that moves us into fear and survival, that's what causes those actions. So we have to be careful about judging that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
No.
So in other words, what I want to say is that as we do things that temper that survival response, like we're going to be talking about tapping, that helped us to keep in a more regulated place. We don't go into that survival brain. We go into the newer brain where we could see the situation, we could see the bigger picture. We're more able to be compassionate towards ourselves and towards others.
Absolutely.
And we just understand trauma-induced fear causes that action.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Right? Okay, so did you want to say anything else about this from a different perspective?
Yeah, I did. So what I wanted to say is, obviously, we're going to be talking about reducing negative emotions because, we are seeing people feeling fear and anxiety and depressed and fatigued and helpless and angry and isolated and all of these things, all tappable issues. We know from many studies that EFT is very effective for reducing anxiety, depression. If people's PTSD is being triggered, that's actually a diagnosis for them. All of those have they have meta-analyses that are behind it. But a lot of people don't also know that there are some early studies that show that EFT helps with immune response. And so we have the physiological responses study. That was a 4-day EFT workshop where a certain percentage of the people that attended got their labs measured and showed 113% increase in the immunoglobulins and the part of the through our saliva, part of a way of easily measuring our immune response went up 113% during that period. We have the study by Maharaj, and that's one that used an epigenetic study with a much briefer period. I think it was an hour of tapping. And with that, we're looking at the epigenetic expression that are making proteins that make immune responses happen on a minute-by-minute level were also increased. So while there needs to be a lot more research, we can start to, BB wants to say hi. Okay, we want to go ahead and look at EFT as a potentiator, amongst many other things, of having a stronger immune system, right? And this is BB, this is our greatest right now. Yes, this is my greatest antidote and greatest joy factor that produces so much oxytocin for me.
We're posting daily feel-good videos of BB on our Instagram, on her Instagram account, and it is Tapping BB Bear.
BIBI. Yeah. So I don't post them on Facebook. They bring people a lot of joy, which we need to cultivate right now and grow. I also wanted to add from a little bit from a meta health perspective, which is a broader way of looking at understanding meaning for what's happening with regard to a physical body during this period of time. And what we're looking at when we actually look at the virus, we're looking at many people and how it's affecting them, and mostly the flu-like symptoms. In other words, on a cough, some people getting a sore throat, getting fever, and the biggest concern is getting into the lungs, into bronchitis, pneumonia, etc. So the meaning behind that has to do with conflicts that are being triggered right now around us with two primary areas. One is called territorial fear, which means my space, my safe space feels like it's being invaded, whether it's by a virus, whether it's by government that's telling us what to do, what we can and can't do, that triggers especially bronchitis-like symptoms. And pneumonia-like lung symptoms have to do with something called death shock or death fright, which is basically fear that's being triggered from every news report about the potentiation for either myself or loved ones or ones in my community that I'm connected with may die. And so that creates a susceptibility in a sense, or an influence on that shows up reactions in those tissues in the lungs. So on a meta meaning level, we're looking at, there's not only the effect of the virus, But there's the emotional effect and fears that are affecting our tissues as well that can double, right? The anxiety, not just the virus and being exposed to it, but the fears and anxieties that are coming along with that. So many things. Did you also put out a poll, or we're going to put out a poll?
Yeah, there's a poll here.
Okay.
And I'll try to find that.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So I'm going to tag team back to you.
Tag team back to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else did you want to say? Because we're going to do some tapping as well. Anything else you wanted to share?
So people have been asking about hands and touching the face. So go wash your hands.
Yep.
Go wash your hands now if you're going to do some tapping with us. Oh, you need to dilute that.
Well, I will. I'm going to add some water on that.
All right. So washing your hands first is a good idea. And if you feel that that's not going to protect you and you're feeling nervous about touching your face or you're following some guidelines, then I suggest that you can tap on the top of your head, skip the face points, go to the collarbone, go to under the breast, which is, under the breast, side of the body, under the arm.
You could use gloves.
You could use gloves. You could tap on your wrist points.
Yep.
You can tap on your finger points.
Right.
So those are all the ways that you can do the same process without touching your face.
Right. Okay. But our hands are washed and I'm comfortable.
Okay. So one of the things that you can do very, very easily is to do what I call orienting tapping, which is just being present in the moment. Because really right now, there really isn't anything to fear right now in the present moment. You can be focus your attention on what's here in your space, and that'll immediately calm you down. So this is like a combination of Peter Levine's orienting and tapping. So I'm feeling just a little bit jacked up because I just had to, get myself going this morning and getting ready for this. And I didn't know I could do the webinar.
Webinar technology. There was some stress just this morning.
There was some stress.
Had nothing to do with the.
So I know that there's a little part of me that's triggered, even though I can't articulate it. And so this is really wonderful for those times where you're just feeling off, whether it's amped up and manic or more like crashing and depressed and fatigued. So let's go ahead and start. So start on the side of the hand.
Do you want to demonstrate maybe the non-facial points just with this round so people can follow along with that?
Okay. So I'm going to tap and I'm going to pay attention to something in my room that I find pleasant. And so I've just noticed this salmon silver platter hanging on the wall. And I'm going to take my time to slow down my focus instead of darting around the room, being really present and taking in that sculpture and the details in the scales, the different shades of gray. I'm looking at the eye, which is this red piece of glass. And I'm really taking in all the details of something in front of me that I can tune into, notice with my eyes. Okay, and now I'm going to pay attention to maybe the floor. So let's look at my floor here. I'm looking at these dark and light bamboo floor and the striations and the different tones of brown and where the pieces interlock. And I'm really slowing down my gaze to take in all that information about where I am right now.
Maybe a sound.
Okay. I'm going to tap on my collarbone now, and I'm going to pay attention to rubbing my hand, my other hand, on the fabric of the pants I'm wearing. So I'm taking in that information. I'm sensing the fabric of my hands. Okay, I'm going to tap under the arm, and I am going to focus now on the temperature that I feel of the air in the space that I'm in. And I'm trying to notice that it's a little chilly, and I feel it on the skin of my hands and my face. I'm going to go under the breasts, and I'm going to tap and think about the sounds, the pleasant sounds. Like I could hear Bibi right now just chewing away on her chewy toy, her rawhide. And I'm paying attention to the white noise of the refrigerator humming. And I'm now tapping on the top of my head, and I'm sensing and feeling, being present and orienting myself to the space here with my smell. So I could smell a little bit of that grapefruit seed extract. I can smell a little bit of the coffee that we made this morning. And I can smell the Irish soda bread that I heated up for St. Patrick's Day. Okay. And then I'm going to do my wrists. Is there one more, Craig? We covered sight, smell. How about taste?
Okay. I can still taste a little bit of the coffee.
Okay.
Not coffee, calming tea. I taste the calming tea that. No, okay. I do.
Okay.
The taste of the coffee, and I can just tune into kind of the whispers of that. And I just find my breathing slowing down.
Yeah.
I find myself more present.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just helpful, because right here, right now, I'm safe.
Yeah.
Right here, right now, I'm okay, because I'm not tuning into all of that.
Right.
Right.
Your ability to be present in the moment and being resilient is really based on how well you have resolved the things earlier on in your life that this may be connected to. And for that, I would really suggest that you seek a swap partner, that you work with a practitioner. Please reach out to us if you'd like to be paired up with one of our students going through certification.
Mm-hmm.
We have that as a resource, and they're happy to give you a free session on any of these related fears.
Yeah. And if you're a practitioner, we all have to be doing our self-care. We all should be reaching out to tapping partners and swap partners if you have them now.
Right.
Or finding there's different Facebook groups for, the EFTI website, and there's Facebook groups for tapping buddies. So please reach out, and if you need help connecting with somebody, the large Facebook group where this video is, you can ask and we'll help.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So the other thing that we wanted to say is you might be too dysregulated, distracted to really know what you're feeling, or to be able to construct an EFT sentence about what you're feeling, and there's just so much. I highly recommend borrowing benefits. So let's talk a little bit about what that is.
Yeah. So, a few things. First is, I just want to say, if you're in that state, I just want to say the first thing that you can also do is silent tapping.
Yes.
Right? So just tapping on the points without even knowing the right things to say will help to induce a more parasympathetic relaxation response. Just tapping on the points several rounds because you're just flustered or don't know the words, right? So I just want to lay that foundation down. The next thing that Alina mentioned was something called borrowing benefits. And that's the phenomenon that started back with Gary Craig, EFT founder, when he would be doing demonstrations on a stage in front of hundreds of people. And he'd be tapping with the client up front, with the person. And everybody in the audience, well, they felt not right just having their hands on their lap, so they'd be tapping along. And the interesting, and just saying what Gary was saying and saying what the client was saying up front. So they would be tapping and saying things that were about issues that they may not have personally experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Person up front might have had a physical pain. Well, I don't have any physical pain. But what they noticed after those rounds of tapping along, that maybe their energy level came back up, or maybe their runny nose stopped, or maybe what. So in other words, the idea of tapping along with somebody else, even though it's not your issue, can still give you benefit. It's like you're borrowing benefit from the person that's tapping as you tap along.
Right.
For your own sake and your own issues and your own benefit. So the best way to do this is watching a session, like we're going to do today,
Maybe.
right? Maybe,
Yeah.
we'll see with time.
Maybe.
Or we'll give you a resource as well. Alina's done like the A to Z video series, which is a great resource of watching a whole video and session. But first, taking a moment to note something that you want help with, something that you want some stress that you want decreased.
And the more specific, the better it's going to be.
Exactly. And you make a note of it, take a 0 to 10 level about how intense it is.
0, no intensity.
Right,
10,
the most.
Really intense for you.
Good.
Write it down.
Write it down and then fold it, put it aside, and then tap along with the video. Afterwards, reopen and notice the difference.
Yes.
So that's another nice tool.
Yeah. So if you go to YouTube and just search Alina Frank A to Z EFT, you will find 26 videos. And you just, again, write it down, what you are feeling, put that piece of paper aside, and follow along and tap with saying exactly what I'm asking that volunteer, that demo person to just say the same thing that I'm asking them to say. And then at the end of the hour, because these are full-length sessions, go back and look at your paper and see how much calmer that you are. And one of the things that is very interesting is the idea that I don't know that we've been able, there's no study that confirms this. This is just an observation from those of us that would do these, and where this originally came out of with Gary was this idea that the closer that person on the screen's issue is to yours, the actual less effective it's going to be. It's going to be more effective if somebody's on the screen working on smoking and smoking cessation, and you're just afraid of what's happening currently right now with the COVID and, let's say, your own safety. That's going to be more effective. So opposite of what you might see out there, right, in YouTube and elsewhere. I have a special message for those of you that are EFT practitioners, and that is that right now is the time to step up. Right now is the time that you need to pull in all your resources, do whatever tapping you need to get yourself out there. Most of us have been trained and have had lots of experience in how to deliver EFT on formats like Zoom, FaceTime, even Facebook video has in their messenger. So there is no excuse for like holding back when you could be assisting many people right now. And so I just want to stress that do what you need to get over your fear, resistance, I'm not good enough, and that sort of thing. If you've had training with us, if you've had training and certification with us, then I invite you to contact us, because we would like to have you do this, use this template, and really go out and do some tapping groups with people online.
Yep.
And so we will share that.
The call has been placed.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
for getting EFT out there.
Yeah.
Right? Never has there been a time in quite a long time with so much heightened emotionality out there, and dysregulation out there, for which EFT is so effective.
Sure. Yeah. There is a Q&A feature that is up, and if you have any questions, allow anonymous questions, yes. And okay.
Yeah, all questions.
All questions.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
So any questions, please just
Please go ahead and
go ahead and place them in there, and we'll take a few minutes to answer any questions that you have. And then I will try to switch off the live Facebook and go to a more private setting where I can tap, but that might not happen. And we have these scheduled for the next 3 weeks. We also have a do-it-yourself 3-hour webinar on
March 28th.
March 28th.
Saturday.
So, okay. And it is all about taking care of yourself and all the different effective EFT tools that you can learn for tapping on yourself. And then what else? There's the Matrix Reimprinting trainers. We're 2 of the trainers for Matrix Reimprinting. Kate Marilat is putting together a tapathon, and we'll be putting out information.
Starting the end of March. That's going to be for 2 weeks every day.
Yeah.
Matrix Reimprinting trainers will be leading.
Yep.
Something like this.
Yep.
Okay. So no questions, or it's not showing up as available. It's a new webinar format for us, so we're learning. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to turn off Facebook Live.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay.